Hey, Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more relationship stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting the like, subscribe, make the notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story. Now, today's first story comes from Flowerchild1234, who says, "My husband's sister moved into our home for a temporary amount of time, but now refuses to leave." And of course comes with updates as well. To give some context beforehand, my husband and I were building our new home, the house we currently own and reside in now. We have to stay with my in-laws. It was nice enough to ease that bit of financial burden on us while our house is being built. During the time there, my husband's sister, 22, was living there with her 2 kids and 1 baby on the way. Well, least to say, I hated living there, especially around her. She's messy, she's dirty, doesn't pick up after herself or her kids, doesn't clean around the home, doesn't contribute to any of the household income. Nothing. She's never had a job and doesn't even know how to drive, so for obvious reasons, she doesn't have an income. Fast forward to my husband and I living in our new 5-bedroom home. His sister ended up moving in with her baby daddy. We thought they were doing fine until she came crying to us, literally knocking at our doorstep in the middle of the night, saying BD, which I assume is baby daddy, kicked her out because he's tired of her. I felt so bad for her, we let her stay at our place. I asked her what happened and she said he's done. So, a baby daddy and I aren't the closest, but I did ask him if everything was okay. Just because she had a tendency to lie sometimes. Baby daddy said he was tired of coming home to a dirty home, to eat fast food all the time because she doesn't know how to cook, to having their sons constantly sick because all they eat is ramen and fast food. He's tired of it. He told me that you shouldn't have to work 12 hours a day and come home to a mess, nothing cooked, etc. Before she moved in with baby daddy, I encouraged my husband's sister to learn how to cook, that I could teach her, but she declined. It's been 2 months now since we let her stay at our house. Luckily, it's big enough, but she doesn't pull her weight around the home. I'm tired of waking up to screaming kids while I'm currently pregnant myself. I'm tired of seeing the living room a mess while she sleeps in late until 1 p.m. I'm tired of her freeloading off of our stuff. I refuse to cook more than I have to. I let her figure it out for herself. My husband buys her food or fast food, but I told him not to do that. I told him it's not our or his responsibility to have to be providing for the babies either. The babies I'll give a snack to. I'll make sure they're eating right, but it's still not my responsibility. I told my husband that I was tired of it, and he said there was nothing he can do because that's his sister. I told him she can go live with either one of his parents since they are divorced. She has plenty of options and family. But she says she doesn't want to be a handful for them because of the kids. Well, frankly, she's a handful for me too. In one instance, it was a handful of dirty dishes that I'd been stacking out for the day while my husband and I worked. They were all from her and the babies. I was so mad I washed them all and she asked if I was nesting. Some of our family members came unexpectedly and in front of them all I said, "No, I'm not nesting. I'm cleaning that dirty dishes you've let yourself accumulate and not even care to even wash." She gave me the dirtiest of looks. I told my husband to talk to her about leaving and she won't leave. She just won't. I told him it's either me and the family he's decided to create with me or his sister. I told him until she's not out of our house, I'll be leaving and I won't be coming back. It's began to take such a toll on my marriage with my husband and I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm not sure what to do anymore. How do I make her leave my home? How do I make my husband understand I don't want her here? She's not my responsibility. Now, I'm never usually one for ultimatums because from what I've seen in these stories time and time again, they never seem to work, but I kind of feel like you're being given very little choice in this matter. Your husband won't do anything. He says it's his sisters who can't do anything. So what else can you do? I mean, you could approach her directly and say, "Look, I need to give you a deadline to get out of this house. I need my space back." Sure, that's going to be incredibly awkward. And probably damage your relationship as well because your husband isn't going to like it from what I can read in this one post. But I think there does come a point where you want your own space back, and especially when you're not pulling away. If I was someone, they let me stay in their house at X amount of time, I'd be doing everything I can that make their life, just that little bit easier, not making their lives harder. But before we go on to the update, Mel Bovary says, it's your home as well. You are within your right to kick her out. You can either leave it in the hands of your husband, who doesn't seem willing to do much about it, or go to your sister-in-law yourself and tell her that she has 30 days to find a new place. While telling your husband that she isn't gone by then, you'll be the one leaving. If she has the tiniest bit of common sense, she would rather leave than destroy her brother's marriage, I hope. I can't believe she has children while being such a child herself. Tamsin says, and quotes, I told him it was either me and the family, and he's decided to create with me or his sister. I told him that until she's not out of the house, I'll be leaving and I won't be coming back. And then says, good. You cannot make that an idle threat. Give him a deadline, and if the situation with his sister isn't resolved, leave. If you do nothing, you will never have any voice in your marriage because he will know your threats mean nothing. Which Femchet replies out and says, I agree with this. Also, OP, all this stress isn't good for you or your baby. Let your husband not understand that this can compromise you and your baby's health. She needs to go, she can't pull her weight because your house is not a hotel and you are not her maid. I'm starting to believe the reason she's like this is because her family lets her do as she wishes without any real consequences. I understand that's your husband's sister, but she's a leech and needs some tough love because she clearly doesn't understand how to adult. Do not let your husband keep enabling this behavior or they can both leave. It's time to give him an ultimatum. Major Nut says, you have done what has been needed. You set a guideline for your husband. Now it's up to him to be a limp dick or not. His responsibilities are to you. He married you. He begun a family with you. Sister is messing with his relationship and he needs to fix this before he tries to help his sister. Now you have to back up what you have said. If you don't, you will lose all credibility when making future threats. Tell him your time limit. What's crossed, be gone. No exceptions. Doesn't matter if you knew damn well she is gone in one more week. Leave. Congrats on the baby. I do hope your husband prioritizes his family first soon here. And OP replies saying, I will talk to him about setting a limit and trying to have that be the pressure of him needing to get her out of here. I don't want to be the one always forcing the issue down his throat. I hope he'll be conscious enough to have that at the back of his head so he can be proactive about the situation. A blue icon of white says, I've been married 20 years now. I went through almost this exact same scenario when my husband and I first married and we bought our first house. Husband, sister, and her 2 toddler-aged kids needed a place to stay. Well, they sold their house and looked for a new one out of state. She moved into our new house the same day we did. It was supposed to be a couple of months, but that turned into 3 and then 4. And the next thing I know, 6 months had passed and no progress had been made. All similar problems to what you are facing now. I finally woke up one morning and told my husband that we're going to work that day, and when I got home, I wanted an exact date of when his sister will be at the house. I didn't have it. I was going to be packed up and moved out by the end of the week. When I got home, he gave me a date, and she and the kids were gone within a couple of weeks. Put your foot down. Don't just threaten or give him a deadline. Ask for specific dates, times, and details so that no one is confused or unclear about what is going to happen. Also, it's his sister. He needs to run interference. It's not your job to do that. Also, if you piss your in-laws off, too bad. One less problem you need to deal with while you have a new baby. To then, OP came in with an update 8 or so days later, which said, first off, thank you for all the advice and suggestions. Sat down with a lawyer and talked about if it's possible for the sister to be considered a tenant, and if so, can we charge rent? Oh, luckily in my state, my sister-in-law isn't considered a tenant, so would not have to charge rent. I also wouldn't have to serve her with any type of tenant eviction, as there is no binding contract. Because of this, I have obtained a notarized letter that is allowing her 30 days to pick up her things and leave. I'm being courteous enough and giving her that much time. I decided to do this before sitting down and speaking to my husband about the issue. After I obtained the notarized letter, I spoke with my husband. I told him how I felt about my home looks like a mess now, how I shouldn't be having to take care of his sister and children being pregnant, and how she should be responsible enough to take care of herself. We both agreed to sit down with her and talk to her. The next day, as we sat down and talked with her after we got home from running some errands, I let him talk. I let him tell her that she was no longer welcome in our home. He told her the reasons, being a slob, not picking up after our children, not contributing to our household in any way, and making my pregnancy a living hell. I realized how it's sort of painful to have to tell her that, but it's something she needed to know. While having this discussion, she retaliated and said she was being attacked and wouldn't leave because she didn't have elsewhere to go. I told her she did. She could go to my in-laws, other family members, but inside my home to live in, she was no longer welcome. She made the smart-ass comment of saying, "You were going to toss me out in the middle of a pandemic." And I said, yes. Yes, I am. I told her she has people to go and live with, that my home wasn't her new nesting ground, and that she should have thought about that comment she just made when her baby daddy kicked her out. I pulled out the eviction notice and told her she has 30 days to get her shit together, or else I'm going to be calling the cops to have her removed from my home. My husband wasn't too proud of it, and was mad that I would actually serve her with a notice. I told him right in front of my sister-in-law that if she doesn't leave in 30 days, that I will. They will not be allowed to see me or the baby until she's out of the house. I told him I didn't bust my ass working so she can enjoy the luxuries and commodities I've been working so hard to enjoy myself. She won't have her own room at my in-laws. Oh well, go get some job experience and get an apartment. Can't keep baby daddy to stay with you because you can't seem to learn how to cook or clean. I have any basic sense of maintaining a household. Should have thought of that before opening your legs and deciding to get pregnant again with a third child. All in all, she's been served with an eviction notice, and I've packed my bags in case she doesn't leave. I've taken a picture of valuable items in my home and pictures of her current living situation. Dirty rooms, the mess she leaves lying around for days, the kids not being fed a proper meal. Everything. My lawyer has recommended that she does not leave and my husband decides to have her stay, and he'd be responsible, then I should consider filing for divorce. I set my foot down and listened to you all. Thank you again for your comments and supportive advice. I'll keep you updated as the situation progresses. And we have another update to this one in a moment. But the absolute cheeky so-and-so to come back and retaliate that she was being attacked and wouldn't leave because she didn't have anywhere else to go. Like, that's your responsibility to be dealing with, so I'm just going to stay here because I got nowhere else to go. That's your problem. Sort of thing, I mean, holy moly. But a couple of comments from that section of the story which said, Spirited Liz says, to be honest, she should count her lucky stars. You're being reasonable enough to give her 30 days notice. If this was me and she disrespected my house and me like that, should be out. Pandemic or no pandemic, your husband should support your decision, as you are doing it for you both and your child. Thank you for having the courage to stand up and not just sit and take it. I think I speak for us all when we're all rooting for you and keep looking out for the 30-day update. Stay strong. The deleted user came in and says, I think you need to consider calling CPS as she's neglecting her kids. She's obviously not great at the parenting and isn't even feeding them or cleaning them properly. Because she lived with you, if CPS would have randomly did a check on her, that would have been your ass on the line because the state of the house and it could have affected when your baby is born and them being involved with you. You've risked enough with her living there, and to be honest, she doesn't sound ready to have a child, never mind 3 of them. She's just going to pass the kids off to whomever she lives with and let the plate get trashed again. A baby daddy with hope probably has a good case for getting primary custody if he wanted it. And one more from No Name's Way said, good job. I don't think you leaving the house is a good plan. You shouldn't have to leave your own home, but run it by your lawyer. Before the 30 days are up, let the in-laws know that they need to pick her up if she is being evicted. Let her know you will call the cops at the end of the 30 days and have her thrown out. But your husband know he can either support you or leave with her and come back when he has come to his senses. And the next update came a couple of months later, which said, I'm sorry to have kept you all waiting for the situation regarding my sister-in-law. Here is the last and final update on the situation. Soon after I gave her the notice, I got the cold shoulder from sister-in-law and my husband for about a week or so. Absolutely hated having to sleep beside my husband, knowing he disliked what I did. Eventually he came around and realized what this was doing to our family, when in an instant he was working from his office and the babies were out in the living room, dumb crying non-stop, and she was in her room all talking on the phone. That's when he saw her and realized that she was being neglectful, the rift this was causing in our family, and knew something needed to be done about it. During this time, that sister-in-law wasn't talking to me at all. She posted comments about me on social media and tried in a way drag me for the decision I made regarding her living situation. Well, family members who are aware of the situation sent me screenshots and I kept it for court records if necessary about what she was saying about me online, calling me toxic and that I thought I was better than everyone else because I had everything, and that if it weren't for her brother, my husband, that I wouldn't have what I have now. Oh, none of that matters, but I am very well set off with the business. I decided to run 2 years ago, so I don't need your brother's money, but nice try. I did gather some informational packages about childcare and where she could go and drop off her kids for free, and some well-trusted places, and so on, so she can get a job and attempt to make some progress, but she threw them out. At around maybe like 25th-ish day, when she moved out and her baby daddy ended up taking her back, I had the locks to my home changed, was able to restore some peace into my home. My husband's family had mixed feelings about the situation and how it was handled, but if no one else was going to show us some form of tough love or be responsible for their own blood acting like this, then I don't know who would. It was so easy for some to judge when they weren't even willing to help her out at all. It really sucks that it went this far and my husband only gets to see his nephews on occasion. I guess better me than blood family, right? If it were my Hispanic family members in this position, it would have been booted out of their household without hesitation until they figured it out. And that's the kind of tough love I grew up with. Sounds a bit harsh, but definitely does work. I don't know. I feel somewhat shitty, but also I would never take advantage of someone else's hospitality the way she did. I'm coming up very close to my due date and as I get bigger and a little more unable to do much around the house, I'm just glad it's clean. Thank you all once again for riding in this journey with me. And if by any reason there are any future updates, I will let you know. And I think, luckily for OP, there's been no future updates on that post, so I can only assume everything worked out fine and probably in the best possible way for OP. And I'm incredibly happy that they did stick up for themselves in the way that they did. OP was very positive in the resolution that they wanted from this situation, and, they just stuck to their guns all the way through it, which I think was the correct thing to do. Otherwise, I think you'll still be in the same position to this day. And don't get me wrong, I think it's incredibly easy for me to sit here and say, yes, chuck her out, that's what you need to do, etc. But I know it's not always that easy. I mean, it seemed very easy from OP's point of view, and some others may be able to just say, yeah, I'd be able to do that, not a problem. But for other people, I think it's real difficult to tackle situations like this, especially when it comes to family as well. I think if it was one of my brothers or whatever, I find it incredibly difficult. But then again, thinking about it, would I find it difficult if he was acting in the same way that sister was in this particular story? I guess I will never know that because my brothers, they wouldn't take advantage of a situation like this. Not yet anyway. Maybe a story for the future. But also hopefully not. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts on this particular situation. Would you find a situation like that difficult to deal with? Would you be able to just chuck them out just like that? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and your feelings towards it. If you have a moment, your time, of course. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, support, and time always means the absolute world to me. And I know I say this every time, but I find it absolutely incredible, the support you share, not just to me, but to one another as well, down in the comments is really mind-blowing. And it just hits me randomly sometimes that I could be out running or something and think, shit, what did I do to deserve a community like you all being so supportive? I really don't know, but thank you so much. If you want to get involved further in the community, you can join us at Mark Narrations over on Twitter. Go to mark-narrations.com, but there's a whole selection of podcasts where you can listen to your favorite format over there, if you prefer to listen in a different way, of course. But it's always a pleasure to have you on YouTube, listening here as well, commenting and getting involved. Thank you so much once again for your love, time, and support, and I will see you, hopefully, in the next one. Take care. Much love. Wake up, Later, die Samstag heftig again. Was it da? As war faces on my desires as day. Wake up. I can smell the smoke from the bait guy on this go. See the sun sounding from the window. Okay. I know that's a day will be a good day. Oh, no. Okay. I know that's a day will be a good day. A, D, C.